Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! In the last episode, we had a little chit-chat with these people here, and they now allow us to move on to Mr. Natsume's room, where where Sherlock Sholmes is waiting for us. So, a small dark room rented by a visiting scholar from the Empire of Japan by the name of Soseki Natsume. And we're gonna go there, so let's go! Ooh. 19th February, Mr. Natsume's room. What? Just look at this place. And smell it, it's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life. No, me neither. It's so dark in here too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think, yes, once upon a time. But for some reason it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsume lives. By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? No. I will have to find him. He is in here, I'm sure. No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Garrideb told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. So I guess we will have to examine the room. He is back here somewhere for sure. But we're gonna have a look here first. So let's have a look at the kitty cat. Oh look, it's a beckoning cat from home. It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that mannequin Neko all the way from Japan with him. I hardly think you're in a position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage? Well, it can't be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm. I don't know what a Daruma doll is. If you know, please put it in the comments. Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beacon good luck to him. It's not doing a very good job so far, is it? You mustn't say such things. I didn't say a word. Why are my eyes such a giveaway? So, the real kitty cat is of course here, but we are going to have a look at the not so important things first. Look at all those books stacked up there. They almost reach the ceiling. They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty. With this volume of books to hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you? No, what a dreamy idea. A bad dream maybe, for me at last. Mind you, I don't imagine the books that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. Ah, so reading it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us. I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of a tea ceremony philosophy. Well, let's have a look at the window. Could you even call this a window? I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although all that remains is a frame around some bricks now. So really it's just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately break it up like that? I'm afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design on in a fit of whimsy. That's alarmingly feasible. Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation in here makes the place very oppressive. It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying. That's true. Sunlight is a given. Very important, says the guy who sits in a dark room recording a Let's Play. Alright, so let's have a look at the desk. That desk seems to be wedged into a crevice. Crevice? Between the mountains of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookshop. Your books. Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it, look. And the date of the purchase. 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. Aha! That's the day of the incident. Yes, it is. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. The second-hand book receipt had been entered into the court record. Second-hand book receipt was receipt discovered in Mr. Natsume's room for some books that he had purchased from a second-hand bookshop before the incident occurred. Alright, I guess we can still pat the cat. Oh, I hope we can pat the cat. But before we do so, I want to go to the court record and have a look. Okay, customer Mr. The sum of 2 shillings tendered in receipt of the picture of Monsieur Lecoq, a meal of Gaboriau, and Canterbury yearnings. Okay. Alright. So let's pet the cat. Oh. Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master's away. I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tricolor Mike, wasn't he? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? It was a tricolor Mike. Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan. That's made me feel homesick now. Already? We've been only here in the country for 2 days. Okay, so the cat... No, the cat is gone. I have to be honest, I'm more of a dog person though, guys. But this cat was really cute. Usually I don't really like cats, because I think they're arrogant pricks. A lot of times, at least, the cats that I got to know were like that. Aha, look who we showed up all of a sudden. It's Mr. Sholmes. So please don't hate me for not liking cats as much as dogs, but I do like dogs more. But I like Mr. Sholmes the best. So let's talk to Mr. Sholmes. Ah, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Aha, there he is. Where did he appear from? He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, you two. Good day. Now, let me see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Borea. Yes, of course, the Borea. And let me see, what happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Asogi. He died, tragically. But you were a great help to us. Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh! Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr... Oh, no, my dear madam. Hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo. And Mr. Susato. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, ha, 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 ha. I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London. But some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Soseki-san in that short amount of time? I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget a useless fact, thus they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately, my associate pens them beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose.
Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned.
Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madame, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Well... Okay, just give me a second, guys. I'm really sorry, but I want to check... Okay, so we can't check this out. So that's okay, but we can present stuff. And I'm gonna do that first, because I always do that first. Ah, the receipt for the books of our stooped Japanese friend purchased. I uncovered that yesterday morning. A marvelous find, wouldn't you agree? Oh, yes, the work of a truly great detective. What a scatterbrained individual he must be to have left it behind. Curiously, there was no mention of this publication on the receipt. Odd when you consider how fascinating it is. You mean not everyone in London buys Rand's magazine every time they visit a shop? Yes, odd indeed.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, how expertly you slipped that into the conversation.
Ah, I'm glad you agree. Detective stories can be great works of literature too, my dear fellow. Okay, sure. What about the local map? Have you seen this, Mr. Sholmes? Shh, I must have silence. It is of the first importance when I am in the throes of a deduction that nothing irrelevant distracts me. Oh, sorry. Cloudy changing to fair, perhaps. You were in the throes of deducing the weather? What if we show him the armband? Mr. Naruto, please! Despite aspersions to the contrary, I'm a professional. If I am to unleash my deductive powers on that trinket, I must ask for a sum of £3 in cash. Oh, I don't need you to make any deductions about it. I was just wondering if you might know. Mr. Naruto, as a professional, I insist that if I am to offer my opinion on that trinket, I must ask for a sum of £3 in cash.
I believe Mr. Sholmes has his eyes on an expensive copy of the complete works of Shakespeare.
Yes, to stand on the stage amid rapturous applause. It has long been a dream of mine, as you know. I literally had no idea. Oh man, okay. What a great character. Okay, so let's talk about Mr. Natsume's arrest. We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsume, yes, I believe it was a name rather along these lines.
But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little?
I'm sorry, Mr. Sato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean.
What?
I can't believe we was looking Susato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I am not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. Oh, how? I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your stooped compatriot of the crime. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. A man seen fleeing? There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene.
From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshelf from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question.
So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit then?
That I could not tell you. But it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place has such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliophily. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No.
Oh dear.
He's such a character. It's incredible. Mr. Garadeb, the landlord. Let's talk about him.
Tell me. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings?
Yes, Mr. Garadeb, a retired military man.
It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the great British institution that is the services.
And it was the first time I've ever met a maid from the great British institution that is service. I didn't think it was that funny.
I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid.
Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer.
And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling in therein.
Betoken their social standing? Sorry?
Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family.
Goodness, how extraordinary.
As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of first importance.
I have no idea.
And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically, in the retired army veteran, Mr. John Garadeb.
Oh?
Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to ascertain.
I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. No, we already figured out that something's fishy about those two people. Okay, so the dingy room.
This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later.
Mr. Natsume has stopped no one.
But sooner or later, as I said.
I don't believe that's the issue here.
About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes? Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea?
No window?
Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks.
I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax.
Window tax? What is that?
Surely not a tax on windows?
Precisely that.
Oh my goodness!
Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home, perhaps rapidly closed windows up, while the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere, in an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money.
How awful and unjust! Forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light.
Indeed. disease was rife as a result.
I wonder if that's true, if that actually happened in England. I'm gonna look that up. That would be really insane.
So some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished.
Okay, so okay. It might be actually. I mean, they wouldn't maintain such things if it weren't true, right? I'm gonna look it up no matter what.
But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squad lodgings such as these, for example.
I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps.
It would appear so. I've done a little digging and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price.
Because the room is so awful, I should think.
Apparently Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago.
Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Still, that is of little relevance here. A matter not worthy of further attention.
Are you sure? I'm curious now.
Well, I believe I told you all I can now.
Thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah yes, Mr. Naruhodo.
Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remembered that, did you?
Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it?
I'm not sure.
Not sure? On what grounds?
Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday.
Really? Well, then I congratulate you, sir, on ambition realized, and so promptly too.
The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence?
Yes. Trust.
Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he?
My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea.
Oh, but I thought that's what you were why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate?
Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention.
But there are simply too many
Fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them.
Oh, I see.
Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing.
Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us!
I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something.
Mr. Garidap is... Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Yes, he did, and we already were suspicious anyway.
Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case.
No dance of deduction? Mr. Naruto, please make a dance of deduction.
I want to believe me, Susato-san.
As yet, our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence.
No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garidap's secret. Just remember,
I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo.
A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Can we talk to him again? We can! We're going to. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes.
Yes, so true. To be or not to be? That is indeed the question, Mr. Naruhodo.
To be or not to be brushed off? That is the question. And the answer is all too clear.
Let's leave Mr. Sholmes in peace, shall we?
Well, we haven't reached the half-hour mark, guys, but almost. And since I don't want to stretch out episodes too much, I have to say that on the next episode, oops, that's not where I wanted to go. We're going to move back to Mr. Garydeb's room and look around a little bit more, because things are really fishy in there. So, see you on the next episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! See you then.